So what I will focus on in the next slide is what Rwanda can teach the world, and what I think, what you're doing really well, that you should continue to do. Because if you want to be, I'm sure you want to be a leader in this, right? You want, because you're already doing really well. You've heard from a lot of people that the trend is going, like the trend of stunting is reducing and the number of children are going less hungry. But in other countries, it is the other way around. The more we are going, the more the children are getting hungry because of climate change, because of what is happening in Middle East. I'm sure some of you have heard they've closed the Strait of Hormuz, so it's causing a lot of hunger because of that. So a lot of countries, they are growing hungrier, and maybe Rwanda can teach them something because you're already doing it well, and there's evidence for that. So these are some of the ones that have picked it up. Next slide. Yes. So the first one is what we are talking about today, professional umuganda. Before I came here, I have never heard of it, and I'm sure other people have not heard of it, but I can tell you this is innovative, this is making a difference, and I would hope that, yes, you should clap for yourself. The screening of children, because like umuganda, I think it's born from data. You cannot make a decision even as a government if you don't have data, because what are you deciding on? You cannot decide to implement a policy or send money to a particular policy or a particular district if you do not have data to back that decision. So getting that data on this number of children are stunting in, for example, this province, so that the government or this province can prioritize that, I think that's a remarkable achievement, and it's something that we are also trying to do in other countries, but other countries will say they don't know how to do it. But here, it's actually, data is a big challenge in so many places, but here, you've somehow figured it out. And I think that is something that you should take up seriously. If at all you want to lead others in this and show others the way, we first of all have to show that it's doing really well, otherwise they will not take it up. So this is your motivation, if it's not already motivating you, to learn from our representatives here, Aloy and Jean, on this, to implement it, and then it can come to us, and then we can tell people, this is the roadmap, this is what they've done, and this is the achievement, and if you want to achieve that, come here and learn from them. So that's the first thing I've learned. The second thing is school feeding, and school feeding is something very close to my heart, because before I joined Enough, I used to work in school meals. And most people, when you hear of a school meal, they just think it is this one plate. It is this plate that you eat, and then you're not hungry. But a school meal is the reason why parents send their children to school, because they know at home they won't have food, but they know if this child goes to school, they will eat. It is the reason why this child can sit in class and concentrate, because I know I know it's lunchtime, some of you are also not concentrating, but if we decided to tell you there's no lunch today, how many would be listening? How many would have come, actually? Let's start there. If there were no snacks, and you are adults, now imagine a small child. How do you expect them to learn if they don't have food? How do you expect them to perform without food? It even goes beyond this child, because I know in Rwanda, this school meal, it provides jobs for people. These farmers, sometimes they don't have a market, but now because the school, children are in need of food, it provides a local market for them. So that is a way that you're also improving, not just to the economy, but to this one farmer in your country. So school meals is something I'm passionate about, and it's something that I'm happy to see that Rwanda is doing really well in terms of achieving universal school feeding. And maybe it's a model other people can learn. I come from Kenya, we struggle. We struggle with reaching children. We reach a very small number, that is in terms of the government. In fact, partners are the ones who provide most of the meals. So WFP will provide, World Vision will provide. We have a company, it's called Food for Education, that will come in and provide. But then the government, because I think in Rwanda now you're doing it well, where the government is saying, these are our children. Why should a neighbor come and feed our children? Did the neighbor give birth to those? No, we gave birth to these children. So I think this is a model, it's a best practice for those countries who want to learn how to feed their children. They can come and learn from you. And continue. I think that is what I will say. Continue and keep amplifying in the different ways that you're doing it. The next thing is imihigo. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, which Yes, I was told I look Rwandese, so I will work on my Kinyarwanda so that I can also be part of you. So imihigo is something I learned here about accountability. You know, when people talk about accountability, it always comes after something has gone wrong. So let's say there's corruption, somebody has, I don't know, bribed or whatever, accountability will come after. They will like, now let's hold these people accountable. But something I see different in Rwanda is that accountability is part of the system. It's part of your way of life. So I heard about this in Mihigo where you call them national dialogues, where you hold, you see how I'm sure you're all, this is professional Umuganda, so you all work somewhere. In your job, you have a performance agreement with your manager. If you don't perform, you go home or something like that. So it's like that? Yeah. Accountability, yes. So even in this country, this is something for others to learn, and it's something that I am appreciating. And so even when it comes to now enough, when it comes to food, how do we bring accountability in it? We bring accountability by asking, number one, are we putting money for children? Because you cannot feed children if there's no resources, if there's no money. And that's how you show that you're prioritizing them. So as a country, are you putting in funds for professional Umuganda? Are you budgeting for school meals? Are you doing all of those things? Are your policies reflective of that? And also asking, now that I know you're making so much progress over the years, but accountability is also asking who is being left behind? Who are these children that we are not reaching, that we are forgetting? Where are they, and how can we reach them more in those places? So, and then there's a final one there. Oh yes, people-centered policies. I think that is something that I appreciate. So I have been reading a few books and talking to a few people, and something I appreciate about the government here is you can tell these are people, they love their people. I'm sure you can also tell that you are loved by your government. And that love is seen in the policies that are being made, that I was told the goal is to prioritize the last community member, not the billionaire or the millionaire in the country, but the last child, the last community member. You're seeing that in your budget, you're seeing that in all the decisions that are being made. So I think that this is a good practice for us to learn, even us to learn from the government and do that for ourselves. In the organization you're working in the role that you're working with, how are you prioritizing every last person? Because the government cannot do it. Is also part of your job to do that. But this is something that we are also learning, and we are teaching others, and we are trying to teach others. So I will now ask you to go to the next slide, which is, I think, the final thing. As I said, I'm here to learn, so I will speak less than I'm listening. But what I'm telling you is we have a slogan in enough. The first one is to act enough. So think in your context, what can you do that is small, but it's still enough? Something you can do, we've been taught is professional Umuganda, right? We can start to implement that. We can start doing that. Everyone here can do that. The second thing we do is we say enough. So saying enough means advocating enough. Advocating, it doesn't mean you go all the way to them. I'm sure in your center, in your area, there's someone you can advocate to. We all have spheres of influence where we can advocate for children to be able to eat more, because these children are the future of Rwanda. We won't be here forever, but these children, we are making sure that we have a future, that you have a future. And that is through feeding them. So say enough, or rather advocate enough. The next one is give enough. Give enough. Giving can be anything. Giving can be, you can give in kind. If you know someone, you can give them. You can give money. There's so many, we can even give encouragement or advice, or your skill set. You all have skill sets. Yeah, that's why you're here. You have something to offer. So finding out what you can give and giving that. And then finally is praying enough. I don't know if there are many Christians here, but you could be a Christian, you could be a Muslim. Pray enough, because sometimes the scale of this hunger, it is beyond us. And sometimes we need God's intervention to help in this. So we also pray enough, and we also thank enough. So that is my call to you today. Thank you so much. Yeah.